Welcome to Highlighted, a Life Church Midweek Podcast. Here we're on a journey to look for ways to make our sermons more practical in our everyday lives, and we want to inspire you to live your faith every single day, not just on Sundays. In each episode, we highlight our sermons and our ministries to see how God is working in our church and through our community. And we have a very special guest today. I'm joined by my beautiful wife, Marissa. And first, we're going to say hi. Welcome to Highlighted. Thank you for joining us. But second, if you haven't listened to this past Sunday sermon, it was so cool. You know, we've been talking about a lot of like familiar characters, right? We talked about Noah's Ark, or not necessarily Noah's Ark, but we talked about Noah and Moses and Joseph and Rahab, and we know all these stories. And I've been telling Pastor, it's like they're all the Sunday school stories. They're the ones in Veggie Tales. They're the ones that are on the little felt board or that have like a mural painted in a nursery somewhere. But this past week, we talked about a story that I feel like we never talk about. We never hear about. And it was about Barak and Deborah and just this willingness and obedience to go and obey God, even though he wasn't going to get the glory. So that's all I'm going to say about this past Sunday sermon. So we're going to pause. If you didn't already hear that sermon, if you didn't watch it, go back and watch it. It's the episode before this one. It's the video before this one. So whether you're watching this podcast or listening to it, just go back and watch the previous episode and get all caught up. But today, we have a very special guest, and we're not really going to be diving into the sermon like we normally do because Pastor's not here. He has his notes, and it was just very impactful and very like just practical application to be like, God, it doesn't matter what I get out of this life. It doesn't matter what the reward is. And even if I have to go against culture or against what is deemed as normal in society, God, that I'm going to give you my yes.
Right.
And, we've been talking about this whole idea that we just have to live out our faith. And sometimes it's a faith that needs to build. Sometimes it's a faith that needs to see. Sometimes it's a faith that needs to don't,
right.
in the case of this past Sunday. So it's just super awesome word for Pastor. But it's August now, right?
Crazy.
Happy August.
Yeah.
Happy birthday month.
Yeah.
It's your birthday month.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting time here at church. And because of that, it's been this whole summer long, we've been doing House of Prayer. And man, I just love those nights.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been an incredible time of just diving into corporate prayer models and just really seeing other people in the church step up and bring encouragement and, just Pastor Joshua leaving space for those opportunities to happen. So it's been a great summer of it.
Yeah, and I say this all the time, but it's one of my favorite services that we do. It's just each one is so different. You never really know what to expect. But it's just such a sweet time in the presence of God, especially with other people. And I think that's my favorite part about House of Prayer is that, you're not on your own, right? We're not praying on our own. And that's important, and that time matters, but it's corporate prayer. That's a word you use. So we're literally joining together and learning ways that we can pray and learning how we can commune with God in a very practical sense. So I love these nights of worship and prayer. They're so special, but unfortunately, it's the end of summer, and that means House of Prayer every week is wrapping up. But it's okay, right? Because we still have House of Prayer on the first Wednesday of every month at 6:30. So we're not saying goodbye to House of Prayer. We're saying goodbye to weekly House of Prayer. And that leaves a gap.
Yeah. What are we going to do?
I don't know. What are we going to do? Maybe we're jumping back into our midweek Bible study, which are a lot of fun too. I feel like those are always super special in their own unique way, the same way that House of Prayer is special. It's really discussion based and it's not really like preachy, but it's a lot of learning. You learn a lot, but then you have this opportunity to like really ask questions and share your opinion and share what you got out of it. So it's really cool because you get to hear from the whole room. And it's not really about, what's on this video or what's in this teaching devotion or what's in this or that, but it's really this kind of shared experience that we all get to have together.
Right.
And it's really an opportunity to connect with one another and to live life together, which I love about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, every season is different. It's sad to be leaving behind everything that took place this summer, all the House of Prayers that happen every week. But it's exciting because we're jumping into a season of, diving deeper into the Word and having these table discussions with people who come to church every week. So
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun. And, just because we're stopping one thing doesn't, like you said, doesn't mean we're just stopping. It's just a new thing in this new season. But we're still walking in this season of faith, which I love. But what's sad is like this is the last month of our series on faith.
Yeah.
The Faith Hall of Fame has been so fun. And I've loved getting to sit here with Pastor every single week and talk about each sermon and talk about what's going on. But particularly these last few weeks are going to be special. We're going to be talking about some familiar characters, not to throw out too many, but maybe this week, Pastor Sarah is going to be bringing an awesome word on Samson. Which again, I love this series so much. It just takes me back to like watching Bible videos with my mom. We used to have on VHS, and half of them we had were in Spanish and half of them we had were in English. So it was just so much fun. And you just get to hear these like classic, like childhood Sunday school style stories. And then hearing them now, like 20 years later, from, sitting in my bedroom watching a VHS tape on an old box TV to now. And it's just a really cool opportunity that we're just getting to hear from these stories of faith. And like Pastor said on Sunday, like he's been saying all series long, that it's about what we can learn from their story of faith to help build ours. And then so that the next person can build off of our story of faith. So it's just really cool. I love this series, but unfortunately, once we hit the end of August, that's it. But that leaves some exciting room because that means September's coming. And I know August just started, and I know, what are you guys talking about September for? It's coming, and it's really exciting because, do you know why?
Why?
Do you know why September's?
I might know why.
Why don't you tell them?
Because it's going to be Missions Month.
It is a Missions Month. So we shifted last year. So a year ago, we shifted from November to September for Missions Month. And it's such an awesome time where we get to highlight our missionaries. We have our Around the World Missions Dinner, which last year, we made a feast. It was really good. And the year before. And we had a lot of fun with it. But I'm excited for this year as well. And it's just going to be an awesome time. We're going to hear from some missionaries. We're going to hear from some local organizations. We're going to have Pastor bring in the word. We're going to be filling out our faith promise card for 2026. I can't believe that we're talking about 2026 already. But we're already over halfway through the year. And August is just starting. But that just means that September's around the corner. And that means that we're practically at December. And not to scare you guys, but we'll be talking about Christmas Fest soon and ways to serve and get involved with that. And that's way on the horizon, but it's such an exciting time. It's probably my favorite outreach event that we do every single year is Christmas Fest. One, because it's a lot of fun planning it and doing it, but two, because I love Christmas. And that's irrelevant to this end of summer special spectacular episode. It's not anything special, but we just wanted to highlight what's happening, what's ending, but what's we're walking into. So Missions Month's going to be a lot of fun. We already have we do have our guests lined up for that, and they're going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to hear from a couple different groups and a couple different people throughout the month of September. But what I'm most looking forward to, I think, is definitely that dinner. So
lots of food.
I think sign-ups are going to be starting this month, towards the end of this month, to make sure you sign up and get a table for that. So if you want to represent a country, be on the lookout towards the end of this month. Get with Tanny Pentimity, because we could always use more food, and it's always a lot of fun. But September and August, the end of summer. That being said, we are jumping into that back to school season, back to routine. And I know the end of summer for us is kind of busy and we'll have some things going on, but that end of August, beginning of September period is that back to school season. And I remember growing up, like that was the time, like, okay, it's time to
prepare,
not be distracted anymore. It's time to lock in. And I feel like even for my parents, and not to speak for them, but I feel like even for them, it's this moment. And even though they were still working throughout the summer, it's not like they had a summer break, that it was this moment of like, okay, back to reality, back to like, we got to get Paul to school on time. We got to pack his lunch. We got to do whatever. And, as I got older, I got a little more independent of all the help and the things. But I feel like for everyone, not just like our students and our kids going back to school, but like this back to school season is a big shift for like
Mhm.
families as a whole.
Yeah.
And like, did you feel that growing up? That
Yeah. Yeah, it was always a season to prepare. Go get your notebooks, go get your binders. The week before, it's always cram time. And you had all the summer to prepare. But then it was the week before school, and now you're scrambling, running around, trying to get everything done that you need to.
Yeah. So with this like back to school shift that we're not taking quite yet, but we're really right about to take. We just had our tax-free weekend.
Mhm.
So we were out shopping and
Mhm.
it was crazy.
Yeah,
It was a
busy.
busy time.
Mhm.
And is everyone pretty much getting all those back to school outfits and school
Yeah.
supplies and everything they needed. So the shift's already beginning to take
yeah.
place into that like kind of mindset. But I really wanted to talk about today on Highlight, how can we keep Jesus at the center,
Mhm.
even with a seasonal shift like that, or
Right.
even when we jump back into our routine where it's like, it's not summer anymore. And maybe, the kids are having to do homework now and we don't have kids, so we can't really speak to that.
Yeah.
But we have a puppy and he's
Yeah.
not really a puppy. He's a big dog now.
Yeah.
But I feel like it feels a lot like building a routine with Chewy, our dog, because
Right.
it's like, he is always hungry at the
Yeah.
same time. He's always tired at the same time. And it's not because he's super smart and knows like, humans are eating now. It's food time, but we just built a routine with him.
Right.
So over
Yeah.
time, you create this routine and even for a 45, 50-pound Labradoodle,
Mhm.
he can learn the routine.
Yeah.
And the same goes for kids and families, that even with little kids, that they start to learn routine.
Right.
So moving into this shift where we're kind of shifting and getting into this back to school routine, I really wanted to talk about focusing on Christ and keeping him at the center. And if you had any like tips or helpful hints to do that practically.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I always think about being an athlete when it comes to spiritual discipline and how, they kind of correlate. You think of like high school sports and they've got all summer to practice on their own if they want, but if they don't, most times, you just rely on the coach. You rely on the coach telling you what drills to do or, how much just daily disciplines to help you get better at this sport. But, when you think about it, it's like, are we doing that in our own spiritual walk? Are we just waiting for Pastor Josh to tell us what to do every Sunday, which is great. Always good to listen to Pastor Josh. But are we just waiting, to hear what he tells us to do and then do it that week? Or are we actually challenging our own selves? So kind of in relation to getting ready for school, coming up in this season of transition, are we just waiting for, what's going to happen in the next season before we actually dig in ourselves? Or are we actually challenging ourselves and living an integrated life, inviting God to come into every aspect of our day before the season gets busy? So
yeah, and I love that analogy of just like this discipline, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really easy to look at it as a chore, right? It's a chore to spend time. Like, I don't like reading, God. I don't want to read the Bible because I don't like reading. It's not that I don't like you, God. And we make these like excuses, or we do that. This is an easy one to get caught into. Like, oh, today's really busy. I'll start tomorrow.
Right.
I'll start tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes, and tomorrw is just as busy, especially
It's
now,
alright.
like with the transition and getting busier, and now there's more responsibilities. People are back from vacation. Work is getting into like the crunch time, because now it's like in the end part of the year, and we have to get everything done that's on our goals for the year, and all of this is happening, and it feels like the world never stops.
Right.
But when we take a moment and pause in our spirit, and we can say, okay, God, I know today was busy. And normally I like to unwind with watching some TV or cooking or doing, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just going to give you 5 minutes.
Right.
And I know what you're thinking, like, that's it, Paul? Like, this is supposed to be super spiritual. Like, 5 minutes is not worth it. I promise you, 5 minutes with God is so much more worth 0 minutes. So even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is, whatever you can and do, make it a routine and a discipline. And I just went to the dentist today. And one of my things that I struggle with as a routine and a discipline is flossing every single day. But I need to, because I'm bad at it, and my gums aren't the greatest because of it. So they always get on me, hey, Paul, you need to floss. And usually what I do is I'll be really good that first month after the dentist, and I'll be really good that last month before my next appointment. But those 4 months in between, I'm kind of hit or miss on
Yeah.
whether I'm flossing. And this last time, I think I did better.
Oh, you did great.
I think I did
Yeah.
pretty good. I was probably like 2 or 3 months in, and then I
Yeah.
started to fade away, but then I
Mhm.
caught back up
Yeah.
on this last month. And it's still not perfect, but it was so much easier to floss and get into that routine when it was an everyday thing.
Right.
It was an
Yeah.
every night thing. I need to floss before I go to
Mhm.
bed. But it got really easy to skip a day
Mhm.
when I was already skipping half the
Yeah.
week, when I was already saying, well, I flossed yesterday, I'll just do it tomorrow.
Right.
And then the next day come, well, I didn't even floss last night, so what's one more night?
Yeah.
And the next thing you know, I'm missing a whole week of flossing. And it's a silly example, but
Mhm.
we did the same things with our prayer life and our time in the Word with God. And I would just challenge you that in this busy season of routine and kind of just like the whole world,
Mhm.
or at least our Western civilization is getting back into, but mostly the whole world
Right.
is getting back into this season and time in their life where like, okay, all the kids are going back to school. Okay, everyone's kind of wrapping up for the year.
Mhm.
Everyone's doing this. Christmas is coming, you know,
Yeah.
vacations are done. And it's this weird, like kind of awkward time
Mhm.
where it's really easy to be like, okay, I'm just way too busy to do anything, God.
Yeah.
But I think if we make Jesus our priority,
Mhm.
that really kind of helps set the foundation and set the ground
Right.
for living this life of faith
Mhm.
that we're striving for.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so important to live an integrated life. We say that, we'll go through our day and maybe that Jesus can interrupt us and then we'll read our Bible. But we really shouldn't be living like that. We should be living with intentionality and with purpose and saying, no, I'm going to, instead of waking up and spending the first 5 minutes on my phone, I'm going to wake up and spend the first 5 minutes of my day reading the Bible and really get into a practice. And like you said, you've got to start somewhere. You can't, if you're a walker and want to get into running, you can't just, maybe some of you can, but most people can't just go out and run a 5K, after not practicing, but you got to build up to it. And I think Sarah mentioned it this past week with kids praying and, the discipline of praying. And 5 minutes might seem like a long time, but if you're consistently doing it, you could build up to 45 minutes of praying and it'll feel like 2 seconds went by.
Yeah, and I think that's what's important is knowing that like God's not looking for perfection right out the gate. But what he's looking for is our obedience. And we talked all about this on Sunday. So again, if you're this far in the episode and you still haven't listened to Sunday's sermon, pause it right now, go back and listen. It was an awesome time. It was a great Sunday, so much fun. But a great word on just being obedient to God even when there is no reward, because I feel like a lot of times we hear like, oh, be obedient to God and he's going to bless you.
Right.
Be obedient to God and he's going to provide for you. But in this case, it's like you're not going to get any of the glory. God's going to get the glory. So that's enough about the sermon, right? Because I said we weren't going to talk about the sermon today, but an awesome word from a not so familiar story. Not that it's unfamiliar, but it's not one that we talk about a lot of times in church. So that's really cool. But going back to this idea of discipline and routine, and also just like as a family, making it a priority, right? Our kids were just at camp. Our students are at Fine Arts right now as we speak this week. So knowing that like they're making room for God in those moments, and like I've been to National Fine Arts a few times. So like I understand how like the scheduling works, and it's a lot. Like there's a lot of people. There's like 10,000 plus people there, and there's all of these categories and all of these students from everywhere in the country, all of these youth pastors, plus there's all of these pastors gathering for general council at the same time. But knowing that in the middle of all these meetings, in the middle of all these fine arts performances, in the middle of all these evaluations and critiques and lunch and breakfast, and making sure all your students are in their rooms and going to bed at the right time, and making sure the van's not missing anyone when you pull away from the hotel or this and that. And I'm not speaking for our youth group, so I'm just speaking in general. But knowing like there's all of these things that have to happen for that to go on, but then knowing at the end of the day, they're spending time with God. They're doing a service that isn't just for show or isn't just to put on the schedule, but it's a time where they can truly encounter God.
Right.
And they can encounter him with 10,000 of their peers, which is really cool. And it's kind of overwhelming a little bit at first because that's a lot of people in one space, but it's so cool, especially like during worship, to just pause for a moment and to look across the room and to realize like, wow, like we're all lifting up this one thing. And we do that every single Sunday because most churches gather on Sunday mornings, and even with time zones, like we're only a few hours apart from what, the rest of the world is doing.
Right.
So it's really cool to know that like we get to do that every single week, but also our students are doing it right now in one room with 10,000 of their peers. So that's really cool and really special.
Yeah.
But leaning back into that idea of routine and making God the center is like, it's a lot easier when you have people doing it alongside you, right? It's a lot easier to participate in worship when 9,999 other people are participating in worship. And then you feel like the outcast. But I think the important thing is even when it's just you, even when it's just a couple of you, even if it's 10,000 of you, whatever the situation, if it's your family, whether it's just you, make time for God, make space for God, and lead by example, because you never know who's watching. And that's what this whole series has been about, is just living our faith so other people can see it and then in turn walk in faith. So whether that's your kids or someone you're mentoring or a friend or a neighbor, a coworker, a spouse, whoever it might be, you have eyes on you, you have eyes watching, and the way that you live your life leads an example to those who are watching. So I think that's also another big thing, especially for people with families, young families, is that if you want to create those disciplines and those values in your kids, like they don't want to hear you just say it. They want to see you do it.
Yeah.
So I think that's also another driving factor in this season of routine, is it's like, you got to remember, like, this isn't just for you. This isn't just for your walk, but this is for the future. This is for the next generation and for your family. So it's super important and just a really refreshing thought to have when you go about your life and know that, like, you don't have to walk through life alone. And whether you're single, married, have kids, have a big family, have no family, whatever your situation is, no matter what it looks like, we don't have to walk through life alone. Right. So like, make Jesus your priority, but also, like, I'm just listing off our core values here.
Yeah.
Community is foundational, right? Community is our foundation, and it's so much easier, right, when we're walking alongside other people, when we have people encouraging us, people asking us, hey, did you read today? What are you studying today? What are you learning? Like, what is God speaking to you in your life?
Right.
And when you surround your life with people like that, then it's so much easier to be like, I'm not alone in this.
Right.
I have help. I have people supporting me and championing me. And it allows us to make invitation our instinct, because when we're walking with God, we don't want to do it alone. When we're walking with other people, we don't want to do it alone, but we want to invite people into that walk in life with us. And at the end of it all, right, because I'm just going to list all four, you'll see transformation, right? You'll see real, true transformation. That's not just a temporary thing. That's not just an outside physical thing, but truly transforms you from the inside out. And it really just starts with that first one, making Jesus our priority. And it leads to all these other things. But I just love this season of faith that we're walking in. It's so much fun. And I just love that we're shifting gears, but I'm also a little sad because I miss House of Prayer. So if you're watching this on the day it comes out, only on the day that it comes out, we have House of Prayer tonight at 6:30. It's the last one for the summer. It's the first Wednesday in the month of August. So it's the last House of Prayer until September, until Missions Month, which is a lot of fun. And that one's going to be a special House of Prayer. So that's all I'll say about that one. Yeah. But come to House of Prayer. It's going to be super special. It's going to be an awesome time where we're just going to be believing God to move and to do amazing things in and through us.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And don't forget that we will be jumping into midweek Bible study the week after that as well.
Yeah, it's so much fun. We're jumping into Missions Month so soon, and the whole theme and idea for Missions Month this year is that this is our story, right? That we're doing this together, and that's one of our pillars of the Missions Collective, right? And we're not just supporting our missionaries, but we're understanding and we're learning, and this is our mission field too. So, a lot of times we spend a bulk of Missions Month talking about global missions, world missions, missions and other, the whole shebang. Right. That's huge and beyond us, and Speed the Light and BGMC and other ways that we give to missions throughout the world and the U.S. But this year we're taking a particular shift, and we're really focusing on local missions and how God is using us. So it's really cool because we're going to be jumping from this this what we're watching right now, but this Faith Hall of Fame series where we're learning these stories of faith that people are literally regarded for their faith in Scripture, right. And it's written down like these people are known for their faith, not for killing giants, not for doing this, not for doing all these miracles and things, but for their faith. And knowing that we can live a life of faith that other people are going to then in turn walk watch and then walk, and then they're going to live a life that other people are going to then in turn
Yeah.
see, and then they're going to live a life, and it's just this never-ending cycle.
Right.
And we're going to take this series and we're going to run straight into Missions Collective, where we're talking about this is our story.
Yeah.
So we're building our story of faith. So it's super exciting time. We're shifting gears. We're winding down summer, and we're getting ready to jump into back to school season. So please make this a priority, right? Make Jesus your priority. Make community your foundation. Invitation your instinct. And I promise you transformation will happen, because transformation is our heart. Yeah, that was close. That was, you almost had it. You almost had it.
I was trying to do it with you.
I know. I added too many extra words, but it's so much fun. There's so much going on, even this month at Life, even though it's a kind of a slow month at Life compared to like the rest of the summer and what next month will be with Missions Month. But it's so much fun, and there's so much going on, and I'm just so blessed to be a part of it, and it's super exciting. But as always, we love you, and we can't wait to see you again soon.